Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the new Ardbeg 17-year-old Dustin. Still at 40% ABV. Ardbeg, I want to love you. All right, so Dustin, as some of the fans may not know, Ardbeg 17 was when they kind of came back out like the really popular whiskey. They ran out of stock. They stopped making it. When I did just a little bit of research after I bought this bottle, they brought back the same recipe that they had before. So they tried to match that as much as possible, including the 40% ABV. And what I would guarantee is chill filtering. This is why I say it. Every Ardbeg I've ever bought says non-chill filtered. This doesn't. And they put it everywhere on the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This does not say non-chill filtered, so I would imagine this is chill filtered. Released back in 1997, over 25 years ago, the original 17, blah, blah, blah.
Do we know sherry, bourbon, any of those details?
Yeah, I think it is sherry and bourbon. Oh, no, it just says they followed the original recipe.
So it's probably got a little of both. But
I would think so.
Yeah, it's... So I think, guys, we've brought you every age-stated Ardbeg that wasn't some kind of wine-finished, error-laden whiskey release they've done recently.
Yeah, we love Ardbeg.
I still think, in my opinion, it's my favorite distillate in Southern Iowa. I know Mike is going to take the Lagavulin.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is, for all the complaints of Diageo, Louis Vuitton is worse. They truly, truly hate whiskey lovers. At their core, I swear.
I remember watching the Whiskey Bible guy a long time ago talk about the old 17. He was like, this is the greatest whiskey I found in on Iowa, blah, 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 blah. And I've always wanted to try this whiskey. The secondary market on the old 17 is ridiculous, $600-700. I don't want to pay that.
I got close, but I found the damaged box one that was a little bit cheaper. And I was just like, but it's 40%. And
I didn't want to buy it because it was 40%. But this one I got for after tax 204 in Ohio.
Yeah.
That is expensive, man.
It's a lot.
I mean, the age-state Ardbeg's going to be expensive. The 19's about $300, 17's $200.
$330, $350 US. Now, if you go buy in the UK, you'll get it for $240, $250.
Dude, even Corey reckons like
100 something, yeah.
$120, $130. All right, so it's light. If it is colored, it's probably not a ton of color. I would imagine it's chill filtered, 40%. All these things I hate.
Yeah, I would assume this isn't colored based on the color. 17 years should be getting us somewhere.
I tell you what, Dustin.
I don't know.
This was a bottle when I looked at it online and stuff like that when the new one came out because it isn't much. It's about that same price. So a few websites I looked at, I was like, nah, I'm not doing 40% and stuff like that. This was an impulse buy. I went to go see a customer that had a bar as part of OHOQ, and I was kind of just walking through because the guy, had a good scotch selection. There were some nice scotches there. I was like, Ardbeg 17. There's only one left. And it was, if I wasn't there in person, there wasn't just one left, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But man, I'm a sucker for Ardbeg. And I went ahead and jumped off it.
I saw this on Christmas Eve. I was driving down, for Christmas Eve with my family. And of course, do a little whiskey hunting before I get there. My parents are texting me, why are you 30 minutes late?
You know why.
Take a guess where I am.
Liquor store.
And so I'm looking at this, and I'm just like, I couldn't pull the trigger because of the 40% in the price.
But let's see the whiskey's like, Justin.
I can tell you right now, on the first note, this is the most maritime nose I can remember on anything.
Yeah, this is a different smoke for Lefroy. It's cleaner, but you're right, it's more maritime. Like there's no lemon here.
It's just salt.
Yeah,
it's just salt water.
It's a very clean, just straightforward peat.
And you'd said Lefroy back there instead of Ardbeg. And
you're right. It's an Ardbeg-ish smoke.
But this is a Lefroy note. This smells like Lefroy.
I'm sorry, a Lefroy-esque smoke. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, you're saying the right words because that's what this smells more like.
Yeah, it does.
It's got that iodine note.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's now in the maritime. It's got iodine.
Yeah.
There's no lemon, no lime like you get with the 10.
No, there's no fruitiness here. There's very little sweetness here. I mean,
it's really straightforward.
The undercoat is like this. It's like American white bread. Yes, it's overly sweet, but not really to the nose. Like, especially not when you're like not in it. Like,
I tell you what, though, do you think this comes off higher than 40%? I'm not saying it comes off cast strength, but
not on the nose.
Really?
No, I don't get any alcohol at all, and I think part of the reason why we're not getting sweetness here on the nose is the lack of alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I want someone. That's why I want other people to try it.
Now that said, it is very aromatic, and I know that. So that's probably what you're thinking. Is
you're absolutely
sometimes
right.
you get whiskeys that are so closed off you can't nose them at all. This has got a nice. I mean, as soon as you poured, Mike, I was smelling peat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I was like, ooh, okay. Now it's not quite Lagavulin 16, where like your wife's smelling in the other room and wondering, like she's waking up, going, "Is the house on fire?"
I tell you what, man. One time I was at a Mexican restaurant we go to. I was at the bar and I had Lafroig 10, and someone was like 2 seats down the bar. I was like, "Is something on fire?" I was like, "I think this is my whiskey." And I was like, "Well," and he's like, "Yeah, that's it." He's like, "You drink that?" I'm like, "I sure do."
Love it.
Don't you hear this voice? Gravel. Yeah, I mean, it is a little sweet. Iodine is a good note.
A little wet mineral note.
Yes. Mineral.
Again, I'm going
moss
back
on stone.
Yeah, I'm going back to Lafroig though. These are like
Agreed.
This is cleaner than Lafroig usually is, but it's Lafroig.
Yeah, it comes off very Lafroig-esque.
I haven't had a Lafroig 10 non-cast strength in maybe ever. I'm sure I've had it, but it's been so long I can't remember. But
It almost comes like a watered down 18.
But this to me is just watered down. This doesn't come off. I'm not getting the age notes. That's the one thing I gotta say. I'm not getting youth. It's clearly sophisticated whiskey.
I'm not getting youth. If we had a 10 here, it'd be obvious how much older this was. This does come off to me medium long as I was going to say. Medium plus aged.
What is the Ardbeg you have open over there, Mike? Is that a 23 something?
Yep.
Okay. If you had a 19, I might have said, we should nose them and compare, but there's no reason to compare to a 20 something.
No.
That's a waste of our time.
Yeah,
but I will say, so Mike, as we kind of pointed out, the 19, 46 comes in here in the U.S. It's $330 is kind of the average price, and this is about just under, like, let's call it $190 for the retail.
Yeah, it was like 190 something after taxes, 204. Taxes 7.5%.
I'm seeing 170 to 195 kind of on these, maybe 175. But so we're talking 80% more for the 19, but you are getting a substantial increase in the alcohol because I don't think Ardbeg at cast strength would be very high on these.
Yeah, so you're picking up 6% as far as alcohol in 2 years. I mean, anytime you get over. 17 is very close to 18.
But you have to think these are probably, this is probably what, 52 cast strength? And they're watering it to 40, and the 19 is probably 51 at cast strength, and they're watering it to 46. So there's a substantial amount more water in here.
Yeah, so
it's not just 6%, it's substantial.
Yeah, so the speculation on that, I think you're probably in the right range. All right, Dustin, see what it tastes like.
Sea salt, getting a little bit of vanilla coming through here, guys, just to add to that note. Hint of mint, but it's super, 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 super subtle to the point where, I wouldn't bring it up with Mike weren't drinking right now, and I'm just looking to add a few little elements here. But yeah, the story really is maritime, sea salt, and a little bit of moss and stone.
Yeah, so on the palate, it comes off thin. You really get the 40% on the palate. It's not terribly thin, but it is thin. I would have probably guessed 43 if I did it blind. I know I'm getting iodine. I'm getting stone moss on stone again.
Ooh.
Iodine, and then now kind of a sweet lime is coming up in the background. Lime peel, maybe. What are you getting?
Okay, so on the arrival, hot damn, there's no alcohol in here.
Yeah,
but instantly, I got a blast of flavor, intensity. I was impressed actually by how much flavor actually does come through on here. So anybody worried about flavor being lacking, you don't have that. Next up, I'll just qualify by there's no lack of peat on this one. This is extremely peaty.
Yeah, extremely peaty.
Very,
and the type of peat that's where I'm picking up age. Mm-hmm. The taste on the palate with the peat. The peat feels like it's been processed further down the line.
This will hold up with the 10 in terms of peat level, but this has actually got, I think, a higher percentage of peat in terms of the flavor notes. So, real basic. It's smoky, salty. It is more Ardbeg.
On the palate.
On the palate. You do get the slight cooling on the finish. That's synonymous with Ardbeg. Whereas most alcoholic drinks heat when you swallow. This one cools a little bit. So, again, definitely classic Ardbeg. To Mike's point, I don't necessarily get the lemon lime notes here, but I get
no lemon lime.
There's a there's an element on the finish that is very Ardbeg-esque, and it's just a subtlety in the malt. I get less iodine here, like the Band-Aid note really doesn't come through. Again, back to very classic Ardbeg. This to me really is a grown-up Ardbeg 10 in a lot of ways. But again, it's lost a little bit of what makes Ardbeg 10 great, which is that lemon-lime Sprite kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and besides that, we can call it thin, we can call it that. It's a low ABV, and I would almost guarantee this is chill filtered.
The Arrival is so thin. I mean,
it's got to be chill filtered. But you know what? Like I gave this to my nephew, and I gave it to another friend of mine who isn't a big Scotch guy, and they both really liked this compared to an Octomore. What was in a Port Charlotte? Okay, so I was giving them some Isla whiskeys. Now the Octomore Port Charlotte was probably a little too strong for them, but they really gravitated.
They were both pretty heavy wine casks too, probably knowing what you have on the bar.
It was 9.3, and it was I think it was it's the OC one I'm looking at now. You're right.
Okay. I thought you maybe gave them the 9.2. You have the 14.2. Okay, 9.3.
I have both of those out, 14.2 and 9.3. My distraction bar was trying to pick out stuff.
Yeah, no, I forgot you had the 9.3. Okay, 9.3 is not so much wine.
Yeah.
It has a little bit in it, though. It's a white wine.
It does. Yeah, fairly straightforward. If you like Ardbeg, it's good to try, I would say. I mean, I'm an Ardbeg fan. That's why I wanted it. I'll probably not buy another bottle of it.
No. Lemon lime, though, is coming through now with water.
I didn't ever get lemon, but the lime for sure.
I'm getting lemon, man.
Dude, it is so iodine forward for me.
It's a lot of that. It is.
It's a lot of iodine and moss on stone. It's like whetstone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the sweetness and the fruitiness is really coming through now.
And that was a twinge of metallic. As soon as I said whetstone and I went back in for another smell, I'm like, oh, there's a metallic. It's almost like there's a little machine shavings on top of that.
I like the nose a lot better with water. I'm shocked.
I mean, the nose isn't bad on this either way. It's relatively simple, but it's a good simple.
But I was missing the fruits and sweetness. Now I've got them. This is what I was hoping for.
Yeah, I was sparing on the water because again we're already at 40.
I would like.
I mean, yeah, geez, we're already at the bare minimum. It's like having safe auto for an insurance company. There's the bare minimum. But I'll say this. I don't like 40% whiskey, 43% whiskey, or chill filtered whiskey at all. But Age Statement Ardbeg, I want to give it a chance. And I still think it's an interesting whiskey.
It's really good. I mean, all honesty, I mean the mouth feel sucks, but the flavor is excellent. It's such a good flavor.
Yeah, I told you you'd be impressed by it. The recipe is good. Mm-hmm. If they wouldn't chill filter it and they put it at a higher ABV, I don't know if that completely would change the whiskey. I mean, in my mind, it's just make it richer and better. Maybe it makes it.
If they could get a little more oiliness, because what happens is it doesn't stick to the front of your tongue at all.
No, and the finish is just.
It comes in and it gives you the flavors on the back of your tongue, a little bit on the sides, but the front of the tongue gets completely lost because of the thinness on this one. It's got good flavor. I mean, it really blows up in your mouth with that intense peat note. I think we talked about this on some other stuff. We never reviewed the Supernova because it got left one of my former residents. But it kind of had this like explosive like peat thing, like you would taste it and you're like, oh, that's nice. And all of a sudden you swallow it. It was just like, whoa. Mm-hmm. This does a little bit of that. And this is very like high-end quality Ardbeg. God, 40%, they really... we have to quit talking about the 40%. It is what it is.
It is what it is. They did things I like here. They could do a few more things. They did a few things here that I find a little off-putting. But again, this goes back to if you're a person like my buddy and my nephew who really can't take cast strength peated whiskey, on a regular basis, which most people, I get that,
My dad can't do it.
This is your whiskey.
It's sophisticated. It is very, very flavorful.
Are you getting older whiskey now, or semi-older whiskey?
I think from the beginning, it's never come off anything short of being well done. It's just my point was kind of being, it's surprisingly peaty for those people who think age ruins peat. Mm-hmm. This has got all the peat, but yeah, no, it's definitely got older whiskey in here. It's no question.
Yeah, this goes back to what I've always wanted from Ardbeg: age statements, man. Mm-hmm. Age statements. I don't mind paying more if it's good quality whiskey. If they put this out at cast strength like the Corey Vrecken, or I don't think Corey Vrecken and Ugadale cast strength, but higher. You know what I mean? Or even 46, man. I mean, I think you'd really have something here. I mean, it was worthwhile for a.
Yeah, would you pay $350 for this at cast strength?
Cast strength?
Yeah.
Unchill filtered? Oh, yeah. Obviously.
I think this would be like a regular buy, even up to $400.
Yeah, regularly. All right, Dustin.
Just under 4. Let's not go that far. That's a little high.
My bottle, you go first, and I'll write down my whiskey score. You're on the clock.
I'm going to give this, oh man, it's an 88 flavor. It's an 85 mouthfeel. I'm going to go 87 and give them the benefit of the enjoyment of the expression and understanding what they're trying to do here. Give them the 87.
87 out of 100. I was between 86 and an 87. This is fun whiskey.
Same here. This is really good whiskey, which is 87 usually is where I start saying it's really good.
Yeah, 88
But
is like a fun, like a really solid whiskey. It's not quite there, but
Yeah, 88 doesn't have like 40%. And again, and it's, as we keep going back and forth, it's the initial arrival that is just so thin and watery on this that it's like, ugh. Thankfully, it has an incredible flavor once you get into it. And the finish, I actually think, is better than you were saying. I actually thought the finish was decent.
there's a few parts of the finish that linger.
Yeah.
But it just starts dropping off and tapering off fast.
There's no oils that are sitting on your
Correct.
tongue and like helping anything here. It's just,
Correct.
it sits there because it's peated.
Yes.
This is once again peat's fixing a lot of flaws from what the distillery. And let's be honest, the distillery didn't make this decision. This was somebody in marketing who said, let's bring back that, and we can make a lot of profit by doing 40%. That's what happened. We know it.
Maybe. I tell you what, I do like how they, when I read the box, being a guy who was in advertising for a while, how they tried to look at the negative and make it into a positive. Like, we followed the recipe, the old recipe, because it was perfect. So that means chill filter and 40%. Like, so that's the reason why you did it, not money.
Yep. I mean,
And maybe it was.
I mean, even though here that this legendary dram traces the old profile note by note. Renewed 17-year-old returns home, ... just as extraordinary as it was before. I mean, again, you just know this is just straight up marketing at its finest.
Agreed. Saying nothing while saying everything at the same time. You're projecting, my friend. But yeah, so I will say this to end it. I don't think it's worth $204 after tax to buy a second bottle, or just in general. But I'll say this: it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's all we can hope for. All right, Dustin. Folks, if you guys had a chance to try this new Ardbeg 17, I'd like to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy homecoming drinking.
We'll see you next time.
Mike, good luck on that.
Yeah.